Welcome to Happily Ever Afters, where love doesn't stop at romance. Join us as we share the tales of everyday magic and celebrate life's sweetest moments. Hear inspiring accounts of love, intimacy, and pure joy as we uncover the secrets behind true devotion and partnerships that really work. Brace yourself for a full-on heart melting. Here's your host, Carlos Clemente.
Hello, hello, hello. Once again, it's time for Happily Ever Afters, the show about love, health, and happiness. That sounded good, didn't it? Wow, I like that. All right. Today we have a special guest. Now, we have Dorothy Lucy here, my beautiful co-host. She knows these folks a little better than I do, so we're going to let her kind of get things kicked off.
Okay, I think Nancy Davis and Kenny Rickle, I refer to you guys as the First Lady and First Gentleman of Los Angeles.
Yay. I like that.
Very nice.
You are literally, and we will discuss this, but we do want to hear your love story, but you are literally saving the world. So that's my tease. Let's talk about just you two. How did you guys meet? I realize I have no idea.
I was in Aspen, a long time ago, 32 years ago, and I was really lucky. My first time in Aspen, I had just gone through a divorce, which was like the lowest of the low, and I really felt like I never wanted to meet anybody as long as I lived, and I definitely didn't want to have more kids. And I was in that moment. I was just going to ski like a crazy person and just have a good time. But the last thing on my mind was falling in love again. And my very first night there, I went to a place in Aspen called the China Club. And there was this wonderful man. And what can I say? It was just the stars were aligned. Something was all right. He came from New York. He was living in New York. I was living in Los Angeles. And who would have thought we would be there? I used to go to Aspen pretty often. I loved to ski. And we met. And a lot of magic happened.
So, Kenny, what's your version?
So, yeah, it's pretty similar. I was living in New York. And I used to go out to Aspen a couple times a year with buddies, like to ski and hang out. And I don't know if it was the first night I was there, first or second night, but we met at a place called the China Club over, it was a holiday weekend. And we met, I think a friend of mine might have introduced us, or we were both at a party together there. And that's how it started.
I know the China Club from New York. It's the loudest place in the world. How did you ever even talk, let alone connect?
I think because it was Valentine's Day, so I don't think it was as crazy there. It was kind of like a party there. And it was a great club. You used to go downstairs, and I got one of the coolest clubs in Aspen. So we both happened to be there at the same time.
So what do you remember after that initial moment?
Well, we met, and then we kind of said, what happened is we met, and coincidentally, we were at the ski slope the next day at the same time in the morning. And Nancy very nicely said, "Do you want to ski with us?" And I'm kind of an awful skier, and Nancy's a really good skier. And then so we started skiing, and then I think she felt really sorry for me. So she said to the instructor, she had a great instructor that used to ski like up and down the mountain. The instructor really couldn't keep up with her. So finally she said to the instructor, his name was Ed, she says, "Ed, maybe you can work with Ken for a while." I was so terrible. I never skied as a kid, so I wasn't very good. And that's kind of the first day we started hanging out together.
He actually was better than he said.
Not much.
He was pretty good. We had so much fun, but it was Valentine's Day, and I remember after we skied, he wanted to take me to get a cowboy hat in Aspen.
I said, if you're in Aspen, you need a cowboy hat.
And I was always kind of worried about hat head, like your hair doesn't look too good when you wear a hat. But I was like, okay, so we went to his famous favorite cowboy hat store, and he got me my cowboy hat, and he put hearts around it. It was kind of a cool thing.
Not knowing that she hates hats, but she went along with it and got a hat.
Do you still have the hat?
I do. My daughter kind of adopted it. It's in her closet now, but it was very, it was like a meaningful moment. Then that weekend we went out with a big group. I was afraid to go out with just one person, so with a whole group of people, and what was interesting is everybody who met Kenny like loved him. They go, "Why did you meet him? He's so amazing." And then we all went there for the weekend. We went back to our own homes. He went to New York. I went to LA, and we started calling, talking, and he came out to LA and visited. And he said he had business. I don't really know that he had business.
I really did.
Possible. It was great, and we started, this long distance relationship. And then I went to New York, and I remember going and staying at his place in New York, and he's kind of colorblind. And I remember he had a couch. He goes, "Look at my couch." I'm like, "Why does this guy have a purple couch?" And he didn't realize because he thought it was black, but I kind of funny.
I think it might have faded a little bit.
I think so, but anyway, we kind of had a whirlwind romance going back and forth and back and forth.
Nancy had a sister lived in New York, so she would visit her, and I was doing some type of deal in LA, and I would be here a little bit, not that often, but then we started dating and going back and forth. And then we got married about 2 years after we met.
You married the guy with the purple couch.
With the purple couch.
The guy with the purple couch.
That couch got redone very quick. Her friend Lynn Palmer, who's a great designer, said to me one day, "I think we're going to do something with that couch." And next thing I know, the couch was out of my apartment getting redone. So it did get redone. It wasn't purple anymore.
But he was always such a bachelor because he had never been married. And I remember going and staying in his place. He had no utensils. He had nothing. So I go out and I'm going to buy some bagels, and I'm getting the cream cheese and the butter and the lox and whatever, because he never ate it. He always ordered takeout and threw it down in the trash chute at the place. So I go there, and then I go to use the microwave, and I realized he stores all his papers in the microwave. He had never used his microwave for for cooking. It was to store things. It was kind of funny, and so we cleaned it up and made it a little more domesticated at this place.
I had a great bachelor department.
Now you two are both very, very busy people, and what's the secret to taking all your activities that you're involved in and keeping your relationship strong at the same time?
I think that we both really do our own thing. And, during the week, in the morning, I get up very early because I work on New York time and I go to the office. Nancy does her thing. So we're not in each other's way at all. And, we each kind of have the freedom to do what we want to do. And then we meet at the house and usually go out. But that's what I think is the easiest part of our relationship.
A lot of mutual respect, though. I think he gets up so early. He works really hard, but he's on New York hours, and he thinks he's not waking me up when he leaves at 5:30, but he does. But I have two charities. I work really hard on. I design jewelry, and I love that he's so loving and supportive and gives me my space and lets me, be who I am. But he's very kind about it. I think a lot of people might get sort of annoyed by he walks in, that every phone's going. It can be kind of crazy at our house.
The house is pretty busy. Nancy's office is the house, so it's pretty busy here.
Well, and I definitely want to talk about your charities, but just let me ask you, one thing you said surprised me. You didn't want to have any more kids, but you did.
You know what? I knew I'd never have any more kids. I had 3 sons, and I pretty much raised them myself. And it was, it's hard. It's hard to do that. Yeah. I couldn't imagine, but it was really important. It was really important to Kenny to have kids. So we talked about getting married, and he said it was really, really important to him. And so then we began a journey. It was hard to get him to live in LA full time because he had a business in New York too. So we were going back and forth. And once he really came and was really living here, then we started trying to have kids, which was also complicated. As you get a bit older, it's not so easy to have kids. Then we are the most blessed parents because we have twin daughters who are now 19 years old, and what a great pleasure. But I had my boys with a father who wasn't really a part of their life, and it just felt really absent and hard. But to watch Kenny be a father to my daughters, Isabella and Mariella, it's so heartwarming. It's what it's all about. I feel so bad that my boys didn't have that, but yet Kenny's been a really good father to my boys as well. And I when I watch that, it makes me just melt. It's what it should be all about. You should always love your kids and make them a special part of your life. But he he does it in a very even-tempered, graceful way.
Kenny, as a man who has raised daughters myself,
Yeah.
that's quite an accomplishment, quite a journey to do that. How do you weather through it?
Honestly, I think it is like the greatest honor to be able to do it. It is, to me, every day is fun. I love being with the kids, and I've always did. Even when, from when they were born, it was just always, to me, it was just so interesting and so much fun to be with them that it was never like a chore, or I never felt like this was too much. Every day seems to get better with them. It really does. I'd highly recommend it to everybody.
But he's also got a very Zen sort of personality. He's just very even, and even when it's crazy and all these things are happening, he just handles it in a very even sort of way. I get more emotional. He doesn't. But he's like, he can do no wrong by his daughters. They think he's blessed.
It's about how you have fun with them, and it all normally works out.
And I imagine the craziness in your house, because Nancy runs not one but two major charities. And Nancy, nobody would ever guess this from your vivaciousness and your energy. But tell us a little bit about when you were first diagnosed with MS, and then we'll talk about how you're curing it.
Right. I had a ski accident in Aspen, actually. Went back and had surgery in Aspen. And funny enough, I met Kenny in Aspen. There's a lot of Aspen things going on here. And when I did my first charity event, it was in Aspen. And I had just started dating Kenny. And I was there for the weekend. It was like in February again. And it was amazing how when it's your first event, there's so many things you're very insecure that are going to work out or not work out. But I love how Kenny just knew how to be. He knew how to be supportive and loving. When the kids were driving me crazy, the boys, he absolutely took them out and did this with them, that with them, took them skiing, and just knew how to make it happen. So we had our first event. So Kenny's been there since my very first race to race MS. And I was diagnosed with MS when I was 33 and told I would never walk again in life, as I knew it was over. The most that I would be able to do in my life is operate the remote control my TV set. And it was devastating because I was a young mom with 3 kids, and I wanted to celebrate life with them and raise them and do all the normal things that parents do with their kids. And I've been super lucky in that when we started, I went to get so many second opinions from different doctors around the country. Every one of them told me I had MS. I was hoping someone would tell me I didn't. But when I listened to the research that they were all doing identical research, and knew that they were the only person doing that research. And when I would bring up the fact that the same research is happening at Harvard, at Yale, at the Cleveland Clinic, at Johns Hopkins, they said I really didn't know what I was talking about. So we formed this amazing thing. And Kenny's always been a very important part of my charity. We put all the doctors together to work as a team to never duplicate research, to constantly communicate. And so where there was no drugs at the time or anything for me to take, today there's now 24 drugs on the market, which is nothing short of a miracle. And for that person like me being diagnosed as a young 33-year-old, there's so many great options today. And the promise that 90% of the people will be okay and have an independent life. So Kenny has been there from day one, being patient, being supportive, being understanding. And I know it's probably annoying sometimes because the phone never stops ringing and there's always a meeting here or something going on. But I could have never done that if I didn't have Kenny to be my support system.
I just want people to know it is a miracle that you have really created all these drugs on the market with the tens of millions you have raised.
Yeah.
We have done it, and we've done it in a different way. We have everybody that comes to our events every year. We have Race to Race MS every year right around May. And from the monies we've raised, we've been able to be empowered to get where we are today. And it's such a different life for somebody diagnosed today with MS. There's so much promise and so much hope. We haven't found a cure, and we are dedicated to getting to that point where we can find a cure for everybody. For people with relapsing remitting MS, the future is very, very bright. For people with chronic progressive MS, it's a lot harder, which is about 15% of the MS population. So we're tackling that the best we can, and we're very optimistic that we're going to get there.
I know. I'll say this on behalf of everybody, because just based off of hearing what you're saying, the ultimate happily ever after moment for you and for everyone would be finding a cure for this. And I can hear that in your voice. And I hope that you are able to continue to, you're offering happily ever after moments for people to continue to live, instead of, it's very easy for someone when they have an ailment or whatever to wallow in self-pity and things like that. But if people like you are out there up front who are experiencing the same thing, can push forward, you're giving other people that happily ever afters moment. And I commend you for that. Yes.
But we also started another charity. We had a son, Jason, who unfortunately passed away. He had an addiction problem. And before he ever passed away, we started a charity together called Cure Addiction Now with Jason. And he died right at the very beginning of COVID, of some symptoms of COVID. And we started this charity, and like all of a sudden he died. It was the worst nightmare. I know I could not have gotten through that tragedy without the support of my husband. It was the worst nightmare I've ever experienced in my life, and we needed to really lean on each other. It was so devastating, but the best thing I feel like I can do in memory of my wonderful son Jason is to do this charity and find actual cures. Jason came to me one day, and he was failing terribly doing the 12-step program in AA, and we learned the fact that only 7% of the people are successful with AA. And if it works for you, it's amazing, but it's not enough for the people. We need to find something that will help everybody. So we've been really searching hard, and we have some amazing research going on right now, coming up with vaccines and the ways to stop cravings, and ways to make it equitable and fair for everybody to detox. And we're really doing that. And Kenny's been there, from day one. He had a very special love for Jason, as did I. And we spend a lot of time, creating a new charity. It's been out for about 4 years now, and we have a long ways to go. We haven't had big charity events for that, but we will in the very near future. And but we have brilliant research, very much in the same exact vein what we do for Race to Race MS. So we have a Center Without Walls where really brilliant doctors have to communicate monthly. They can never duplicate each other's research.
I know. Whenever you see a sunset that's really orange, I know you think of Jason. And whenever I see a pink sunset, I think of my mother. So I think of my mom and Jason all the time.
Oh,
that's terrific. Thank you.
I'm totally addicted to sunsets. I'm always saying, Kenny, look at that. Look at that one. Look at that. I'm always taking pictures.
I'm always taking pictures, too.
I feel very
I love
close to
sunsets.
Sunset.
Right. What happily ever afters advice would you like to give to someone?
Ooh. I think there's just a lot of respect. You respect each other, and I think when you do that, things kind of work out.
Wow.
I feel like when you get married, you need to look at the big picture. And you need to let that person be who they are, and not be sitting there. I want to change that person and mold them into who I want them to be, because you can't take away their personality. It's not okay to do that, but I think you have to honor and respect the differences you have and make each other feel good about what it is that's important to you and what you want to do every day.
We're running out of time, but I would like for you to tell us how we can get in touch with you, how we can help donate to your organization, how we can help your cause.
That's very sweet.
Very sweet.
And go to... for Race to Race MS, they can go to erasems.org and make any donation. We would love that. And for Cure Addiction Now, they can go to cureaddictionnow.org and make a donation. There's things people can buy on the website or anything. We need to raise lots of funds because we have a long way to go. And they're both charities are very important for completely different reasons.
Such a powerhouse and happy couple.
Well, thank you.
I'm very lucky that I met him. I mean, it was such an accident how we met, and I don't know. I just feel very blessed every day.
I think most people who meet in the China Club don't wind up having this kind of story.
Don't wind up in L.A., no.
story of how we met. When I tell people that, they look at me, they go, "You hanging out at the China Club?" I don't know. I mean, it was a happens, a moment, and here we are, and like here we are. We just had our 30th anniversary, and we just celebrated 30 years being married, which is kind of a wonderful milestone. And we've known each other for 32 years, and I feel so lucky, happy that meeting just happened. I'm sure it was something in the stars or whatever meant for us to all be together and start talking. Because
Okay.
I'm not a person that hangs out at the China Club.
Well, 30 years, you've had that happily ever after moment. So I commend you. I'm in awe of both of you, of what you're trying to do, and I will do everything I can to help, you with your cause. I will spread the word.
That's great. We appreciate it.
Thank you. We need all the help we can get.
Every help is great.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you, and sharing your story. It was a wonderful story. And I'd like at some point in the future follow up with you, tell us more about what's going on with your organizations. And hopefully next time we talk, we have more positive news that will help people get on and have their happily ever afters as well.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Great to see you.
All right, that wraps up another show, a show about love, health,
Joy, happiness.
joy, happiness, happily ever afters. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. We
Thanks
appreciate
for
it.
having us.
This show isn't only about your stories, it's also about mine. I hope to learn from these captivating tales of love to enhance my own role as a partner, heartwarming stories, or inspiration to enrich your own relationship. Life is all about